One of the hardest things to do is to be vulnerable. When we do something wrong or we make a mistake, someone pointing that out can be one of the hardest things to accept. To tell someone, yeah, I made a mistake. My fault. I'm sorry. When your girlfriend left you, it might have been your fault, or you might have had something to do with the failure of that relationship. And that can be one of the hardest things to see about yourself, to look inward and see the way I was behaving drove her away. Or the way I treated my friend the other day is the reason why he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore. This is one of the hardest things to accept, and that's why so many of us choose not to accept it. We choose to lie to ourselves. No, it wasn't my fault. It was her fault. Or no, it wasn't either of our faults. It just didn't work out. Or I wasn't rude to my friend. I was just telling him the truth, and he couldn't handle it. We make up bullshit to lie to ourselves, to make us not deal with that difficult emotion, whatever that might be, the difficult fact that maybe we were at fault for something. And the result of lying to yourself in that way is a false sense of confidence, a false sense of self-esteem. Because when you're feeling vulnerable in that sense, when you're feeling in pain on the inside, what's going on is your self-esteem, in a sense, is breaking down. You're feeling like, I'm not really that good. I'm not really that competent. I'm not really that lovable, whatever it might be. Your sense of self-worth and capability is under attack. And so you lie to yourself to make yourself feel like, well, actually, I am capable, because it wasn't really my fault. I didn't really make a mistake. But the result of that is, just like any lie, it always comes back to bite you. Except in this case, you're not lying to someone else, you're lying to yourself. And deep down, you still know that you haven't dealt with that truth, that fact. You still know that you did actually make a mistake, or maybe even could have made a mistake. And that leads to a false kind of confidence of, constantly boasting to other people about whatever it is that you're insecure about trying to never be wrong, endlessly arguing with people about stupid things that don't matter because you cannot be wrong, never accepting responsibility for the mistakes that you make, always blaming others. This false kind of confidence is all too common. And the reason it's all too common is because none of us are really taught this idea of facing these hard truths inside of you, being vulnerable with yourself. That's what I want to talk to you about today. If you haven't subscribed before, I talk a lot about this kind of stuff on this channel, so be sure to subscribe if you want to hear more about it. Normally, when we think about being vulnerable, we think about being vulnerable with other people, which is, of course, valid, but we never think about being vulnerable with ourselves. Because we think, well, don't I know what I know? Why would I need to be vulnerable with myself? I already know what I know. And the thing is, that's not true. We very easily can lie to ourselves. We can very easily wall up parts of ourselves on the inside and tell ourselves, don't look there, don't think about that, don't feel that. When we encounter something difficult, whether that's out in the world physically or inside of us, we have a choice to either face it or not. And when it comes to internal pain, a lot of us choose not to deal with it. Now, of course, this isn't a conscious choice, it's subconscious. It happens without you really even knowing about it, but the choice is still made. Now, when you build the habit of not dealing with inner pain, whether that's not wanting to acknowledge the fact that you could have been wrong, made a mistake, it can feel like you're holding on to your self-esteem. It can feel like you're holding on to this idea that you are capable, because, I wasn't wrong, I'm capable, and that leaves you feeling confident. But the thing is, it's a fake kind of confidence. It's not real because it's not built on anything true. And this is an extremely dangerous pattern to build because it's training you not to deal with inner pain, not to deal with difficult emotions or situations. So if your friend comes to you and tells you, hey, I haven't really appreciated the way you've been treating me lately, your habits have trained you not to take on that responsibility, not even consider it, because that hurts. It hurts to realize that you've hurt somebody who you care about, that you've done something wrong. And so it can't be your fault, it must be his fault. And so instead of responding with understanding, empathy, care, concern, you respond with anger, frustration, blaming him. When you run from that kind of inner emotional pain, it leaves you incapable of handling or dealing with anything difficult in life. And on some level, no matter how much you lie to yourself, no matter how much you tell yourself, no, it wasn't my fault, no, it wasn't my fault, no, it wasn't my fault, on some level, you know that you're not handling those situations. And that eats away and destroys your self-esteem. I think not a bad metaphor for your inner strength is your physical strength. Like if you go to the gym all the time and you work out and you take good care of your body, you're going to be capable of dealing with, heavy weights and burdens, physical burdens in your life. And the same goes with your inner self. The more you take on and deal with, in a healthy way, difficult emotional burdens, the more you process it in a healthy way, the more you're going to be capable of dealing with it in the future. But just like physical strength, you just make up excuses as to why you're never going to work out. You're just going to wither away and atrophy. No matter how much you tell yourself, nah, I'm really strong, I'm very capable, you're not going to be unless you actually do the work to be that way. And the same goes with your inner self. You're not actually going to be capable of dealing with difficult emotional situations unless you actually train yourself and get in the habit of facing that. And that is how you build deep kind of confidence in yourself, because you'll know as a matter of fact that you can deal with difficult things. Like, your friend telling you, hey, I don't like the way you've behaved. I don't like the way you've been treating me. Being able to face this kind of stuff with a kind of competence and grace builds confidence in yourself, because you know for a fact that you can take it on and handle it. And I think at the very root, the thing that you are learning by actually accepting and taking on responsibility for these kinds of emotional situations is for a fact that you're going to be okay when you accept responsibility for things, for mistakes. If you did indeed treat your friend in a way that wasn't fair, if you made fun of him and you were putting him down, making jokes at his expense, and it hurt his feelings, being able to accept that, to take that on and say, you know what, that was unfair of me. That was a very mean thing to do, and I'm sorry. What it is that you're showing for yourself is that you're okay after that. Because when we fight that, when we don't want to take on responsibility, we have this incredible fear of if I accept that I've done something wrong, my sense of self is going to explode, my whole world's going to collapse, I'll never be able to recover. There's this terrible fear there. But when we take on that responsibility and say, you know what, that was my fault, and I'm sorry, we see that actually everything didn't end. Everything's okay. I'm okay. And in fact, things are better because of it. And it's by seeing that everything's okay that you then build confidence in yourself, because yeah, it's going to be hard, but I'll get through this. I'll be okay. So if you want to build a deep level of confidence in yourself, try doing this next time you get into a situation that you feel really shitty about yourself, where you've made a mistake, where you were wrong, where you did something that led to, hurting other people or whatever it might be. When you feel that terrible fear inside of yourself, that terrible pain, that deep sinking feeling in your gut, try thinking to yourself that you'll be okay. In fact, you'll be better off if you face that pain. Now, this has just been one tip on how you can gain more confidence. We have a free guide for you to download in the description below that gives you 5 additional very good tips on how you can build confidence in yourself. Check it out in the description below. Now, also, be sure that you subscribe to the channel, because I'm actually working on a comprehensive guide to introspection that'll give you loads of tips and information on how you can better understand your emotions, manage them in a healthy way, and start to gain more control over yourself, over your life, and a hell of a lot more confidence in your ability to handle difficult situations like this. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss when that comes out. Now, if you like this video, drop a like. I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.